let me see. Okay, let's go to this guy. We'll do a couple more chats, and then we'll wrap up here. So this is pretty general, but Auntie D says, "Hey, love the channel. Quick question: what are your thoughts on ink?" Pretty general question there, but it is interesting because we've seen a lot of different things happen with ink over the last few weeks. We saw the inflation get cut 4 or 5 different times or something like that.
Yeah.
The price is still down at $1.50 because the ecosystem's down. We have seen the PulseX yield farms slashed, so they're basically not worth doing whatsoever right now, or you're going to definitely accrue a impermanent loss. But obviously things are on the horizon for those farms, for ink. And yeah, what do you think, Ewok? And again, maybe NTD, you could expand specifically on there's something you want to know. But what do you? We've both yield farmed. We've done the PulseX farm and acquired it that way. I've occasionally DCA'd into it on the market, but I usually just want to buy like my PulseX bags and stuff like that so much that I'm not buying ink. And you can farm it, so why would I buy it? So I don't know. What do you think, Ewok?
Yeah, it's not something that I would have bought when I was earning what I was earning by just providing liquidity, but because it is tied to a lot of the pairs, again, this is going to be a very static movement of everything, because of the liquidity pairs, because of the bonding, you're going to see it run up too. And because it's already at $1.50, it's going to run what looks to be harder, I think. How high can it go? Well, I believe it was $80 at its high, roughly
Sounds
$80,
right.
$88 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It could easily get that high again because people aren't earning it. There is no yield farming that's producing anything unless you're a huge whale. And I think that's why it was done, because those guys were farming it and just dumping permadump, and that had to get stopped. So in order for things to rise, you've got to decrease the inflation of it. Back to PDI, you can't have that price go up like that naturally if the demand slows down. So again, I think ink is going to do just fine. Not something I would buy. I think it's going to be very reflexive to everything else that moves up. But I think it's going to be fine if you hold some. I don't know that I would go out and spend a bunch of money on it when there's other tokens that could have a far better Xing power. Xing power. You're going to get more X's out of other things than you would ink, but ink's going to probably do fine if you're holding some.
And following up on that, Digital Money Market says, will the PulseX farms eventually add back some of the APRs down the road? I think 100% certainly. Yeah. I think it's just waiting for, the liquidity was removed. So if Ethereum ever goes up, more than a couple percent in a month or something like that, then the bull market takes off. There's an altcoin market. You want to be able to move up more quickly and with less liquidity, because there was a lot of people in those yield farms because they were rewarding pretty handsomely. I mean, even when we were making Ewok 10% or something like that, I mean, we were up at 20%, a year prior, but when we were down at even 10%, I mean, like the price of ink and everything, it was still absolutely worth doing. I mean, and it depends on when you got in and when you got out. I know you did accrue a little bit of impermanent loss, but depending on when you got in and various different things, I mean, you were doing pretty well. And then if you wanted to DCA the ink back into the PulseX that you lost, or DCA your new money just straight into PulseX, you're getting a little bit of impermanent loss, but you're also gaining it back and getting those tokens and getting Pulse back. So, yeah.
Well, the one thing that I figured out, I thought there was more impermanent loss than there really was, but because it was the PulseX pair, I ended up with a lot more Pulse.
Right.
And after it was said and done with, I sold back the Pulse for the PulseX that I got offsides with, and got back to really where I had started and made all that ink on top of it. So, and along the way, I had traded some of the ink that I was earning for other little things that I wanted to dabble with. So yeah, I mean, I didn't end up with hardly any impermanent loss. So
yeah,
it works out well.
And that's something that we'll revisit, when those do get relisted. And here's the thing, I don't think we're going to have just the pools that we saw before. I think we're going to have a lot more pools when we get further down the road. So
Yeah.
definitely look out for that.